decided that perhaps we will consider getting back to the manual recording system, providing manual cash books, or we've been anticipating for a software which we actually had from the ministry, a unified computerized system which was supposed to be used by all the councils. We've also been anticipating that so that we can apply that system of our accounting. And then we also have the IFMIS, which we also use to record our transactions, which is actually also there. But then reports have not yet been generated with regards to the IFMIS, because it is a complete version where you have all the books of accounts which you can produce when preparing your reports. As far as I know, with regards to the cash book, that was how we operated, and then we have evidence of all that.
Honorable, do you have any further question?
Yes.
To that, in relation to that?
Yes. Basically, when they came, the system that you're talking about, the one that you are using, did you provide that in terms of their auditing purposes?
Yes, in fact, I had to go myself to the office after the audit exercise was conducted to show them the template that we have been using to do our reconciliations. I was liaising with one Mr. Marena at the audit, and then we tried some samples, some months, which were actually reconciled based on what we have in the cash book and the, vis-a-vis the bank statement. So we've been going through, and then we've been balancing the months, but actually that, exercise was not completed. Maybe, that was the reason why it was not actually, considered. But we did that, and then actually they got the template which we use to do our reconciliation on a daily basis.
Just to complement, away from that, now, as of now, what system are you using so far?
As of now, we are on dual system because we are using the IFMIS to do our financial transactions, and then we are also using our own designed Excel system, which we use to do all our postings, our transactions. Yeah, okay.
The cash book, we all know, is very important. It's the primary book of entry for all the council's transactions. And again, as a primary book of entry, it stands in the center for all other control mechanisms. So where I would start with, it is not the opinion of Banjul City Council that they are not maintaining a proper cash book. It was the opinion of the auditors. So first, let's understand what they mean by it. Then we can have an engagement. To the external auditors, when you said Banjul City Council is not maintaining a proper cash book, can you dilate on it? And in so doing as well, you might as well tell us what are the implications of such, and then we'll get to the Director of Finance, to correlate that and move on with the session. Yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I will refer members to page 17 of the management letter of the ML, page 17. Or it starts with page 15. Page 15 of the management letter. Are you there? Normally we don't go outside our report. We always want to confine ourselves to our report, and then usually I agree because the cash book cash books, some of the institutions have been using manual cash book, and then some has migrated from using manual cash book to, maybe to other advanced ones where you are not expected to see physical manual cash book. But again, the purpose and the objective will be the same. So serve the same purpose, whether being manual or being, system generated. The objective and the purpose should serve the same. If you go to the findings, improper maintenance of main cash book, it says 3.2.3 regulation 902 of the financial and accounting manual for local government authorities stated that the cash book is the main book of original entry of the council in which all the cash receipt and cash payment are recorded on a daily basis. Analyzed cash book is hereby required to fully analyze receipts and payment to various heads and subheads. Then you have the details. All receipt of cash or checks are recorded on the debit side, and all payments by cash or check are recorded on the credit side. On the debit side are the following columns. Everything is specified here. Then you go to the findings. The findings are here if you go to page 16. But I think we have in the record, so I will just refer you to, this is just our finding, the reason, because auditors, we don't just bring something, we just have to code the regulation, what is said, and then the way you are doing, whether it is in line or not in line, and then we report that one accordingly. So this was reported, and then the recommendation, page 17, says, management should ensure that the cash book for the year 2019 and 2020 are rebuilt as prescribed by the Financial and Accounting Manual for Local Government Authorities in order to redraft a credible financial statement. Management respond from the council. They said, we have put in mechanisms to the fullest implementation and maintenance of a main cash book from the 1st of January 2022. All audit observations are noted and we will comply to the fullest. This was their response. I'm just trying to, this was their response. So the issue of maybe we were operating a manual and this is what doesn't come in the response, meaning they've agreed and they said they will comply. And then the auditors further comment, the adjusted cash book, auditors further comment, or the adjusted cash book for the year 2019 and 2020 presented were not in line with the requirement of the above financial and accounting manual for local government authorities. We further noted that the 2019 and 2020 brought forward balances as per the adjusted cash book were over and understated. These were actual bank balances. Details are shown below. So it's like the issue of manual, maybe the auditor doesn't understand also, doesn't come in the response. And we understand that because institutions need to, migrate from manual to computerized one. We understand that one. But the issue here is their response, they've adjusted it, and then, but the adjustment, the auditor said the adjustment has been done, but it hasn't still met the requirement, and the reasons are still stated here. I don't know if that satisfies the...
That's okay. Okay. Just him and then Director of Audit, you come. Just a last one, yes?
In essence, what the auditors are claiming, initially, before the rectification, they were debiting some items that should have been credited, and vice versa. When it was raised, they did some adjustments, but those adjustments also brought about incorrect balances. So that's the issue as of now. So there is not this issue of whether this system or that. As he said, the principles remain the same. Whether you are using a manual system or a computerized system, what should be debited must be debited, and what should be credited must be credited. So I think they have rectified that debit and credit, but it's in doing so, the balances now are inaccurate. That's the other adjustment that they should have done. That's what they should answer.
To the financial auditor, finance director. Yeah. Basically, what the auditors are saying is the principle of double entry was not followed. Don't know. Right. What would be your reaction?
Right. Good morning, Chair and Honorable MPs and National Audit, GPPA, and all protocols respectfully observed. I think this is very healthy. And then for me, coming in to join the team, I've seen the hard work that Mr. Cham and the colleagues are found on the picket lines were doing. But we sat in, I said, look, let's look at, because we cannot audit ourselves. When auditors come, their issues are coming to better us. We need to take it as a tool, because these people are coming here to better what we are doing. So as we have responded, and as the director of audit have rightly said, from 1st of January 2022, we've gone back to the manual. Because in the manual also, there are some grapevines. Because like when I came in on board, the first conflict I had with Mr. Cham, who I took over from, was how on earth are you preparing a balance sheet? Because what the manual is saying, the act falls short compared to the international financial reporting standards. Because we don't have the nomenclatures or everything that you need to prepare a proper balance sheet. So councils cannot, because your assets are not even documented. They are not costed. They are not depreciated. There is no depreciation policy. So how do you have a balance sheet that's going to be in tandem with international financial reporting standards? It's not. But the act is the law. The act said prepare this way. So we're going back to the act. And whoever wants to nail us to that, right. But again, what the auditor said, we went back to the cash book line by line, as they have said, and we've corrected that mistake. Moving forward. And again, auditors also are coming to better us, as this August Assembly is going to do. Coming here is to make sure that we are also better in our operations. We are a work in progress. We are not a finished product. But the observations are noted. And inshallah, if they visit us again, they will see that indeed we've told the line to do what is right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director of Finance. Those remarks are highly appreciated. And the main reason we are spending a little bit of time there is the cash book is very important, because it is the one that will record the total revenue. Every revenue item that the council receives must pass through it. Every line of expenditure must pass through it. That is why it is in detail. And again, it serves as the basis for your bank reconciliations, which are the month ends. So which means if at all the cash book was not properly maintained, it will have far-reaching consequences, which will come with other implications. And at the end of the day, we have a financial statement. So that's why I would put this question to you. Haven't found out that the cash book was not maintained properly. What implications do we have embedded in the accounts which are presented to us?
Yeah, as you rightly said, if financial records are not kept according to the way they're supposed to be kept, but the credit that you must give Banjul City Council and Mr. Cham is the records are there. We all went to the same schools. We all went to study finance. There are something that we call missing records. You can prepare a financial statement whereby even some records are missing. But if you haven't got a bank statement, and all these banks are independent, you request for anything from us, they will give it to you. And Banjul City Council do not pay. They just do not get the money from lines and just pay on the counter. It all goes to a central hub where you raise checks. And the credit you give to the team is, the records are there. Fine. What is wrong is, they are not kept in the way they prescribe to be kept. But the records are there. And even as finance people, me and them, finance people, but you can even prepare a financial statement from missing records. So as much as they are grave, procedurally, but again, they are not bad that the office is burnt down, there is no record. Mr. Tam and the team gave records. And the bank statements are there. You can go and get independent people to give you independent information about the finance of Banjul City Council. So I don't think it's all lost. We are a work in progress, and we will do everything possible to make sure we got it 10 over 10.
Just a final one on that. I totally agree with you. There is, you can create accounts from incomplete records. But now we want to put emphasis on the document before us. It is established that the books of entry were not maintained properly. The principles of double entry were not exercised. Items to be debited were credited. Items to be credited were debited. The good thing is, when the audit team came, you did some rectifications. But even after the rectifications, the auditors are reporting that it have resulted to overstatements in some areas and understatements in other areas. So now the question is, what implications does it have on the trial balance from which the financial statements emanate? Because that will help us to understand what we have before us so that we can work on the same wavelength. Just after that response, CEO, you can come.
Yes, it's good that this is a very healthy session, and is something that all parties should do for our country. And then National Audit also, if you ask them, they will tell you that Banjul City Council have increased the velocity, because there were sometimes they were audited, there were no exit meetings. Those things have changed. You cannot audit and go and just write. Now we engage them constructively, and then agreeing with them that when my figures conflict with Mr. Tarawale's figures, I'm taking Mr. Tarawale's figures because he has supremacy over my internal working. If I have figures that he has contested, I'm taking his figures. And yesterday when I sat here to read the summaries, I put their figures. But that's the spirit. And again, once again, we've come a long way. And with all the issues that they face in this audited report, their next coming will see that we've adjusted. And I will not allow, as head of finance, for them to walk away without me agreeing my figures with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kamara. Before concluding that, the CEO, I can see that you want to react. You can come up. You can please come up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, all the distinguished people that are here. I want to make a further information on this matter about, as we are hearing the auditor, our finance manager, talking about the usage of an appropriate system which would give the cash book the status that it actually needs, or it really needs. Okay, I just want to inform you that when this matter previously started, that's well before we came here, because of the need to try to find, better paths, I have personally written. I'm not putting a blame on anybody, please let's not get me wrong, but just to show that ourselves as a council, we are not comfortable with this dispute, because what our manual is telling us is so different from what we are being told by other stakeholders that, we cannot inevitably avoid, because we are all doing the job together. So, like what the Director of Finance said, he's saying that we're still receptive to ensuring that, the kind of cash books we produce by the end of the day, a true reflection of all the financial dealings on the ground. So, I'm not saying that we don't have no cooperation from our ministry, but it seems this is still a pending issue to me. Because what I was expecting was that we would have called up a meeting, at least with all the councils, with the Auditor General, and then we touch this issue out. Because we've been here before. I think that time, it was the local government parliamentary session. We used to come here. And that was also an issue. That was no helping us to go anywhere. I can see it's still becoming an issue. So we're just hoping that, there will be a reconciliation. Because if there is a reconciliation, then as councils, we will really have a clear roadmap as to how to produce some of these important documents. So that's just an addition to the discussion. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. I'll stay with you a little while because I had some questions for you pertaining to this. You said reconciliation is between two parties or between two records. Can you clarify that?
Okay, reconciliation in the sense that if you go to the local government finance and administrative manual, they have a certain system that they've prescribed for all the councils. But if you look at the present situation as of now, the way things are moving globally, maybe there is really a need, because this manual was made about 15 years ago. Maybe it's not reflecting on the present realities of today. That's the reason why we are here before, and you saw that, especially with the subject matters specialists. we could not go far with them because they're saying, look, this system is not appropriate to be used anymore. But then as a government agency, we still having to, and I think it's giving the way for maybe two parties simultaneously believing in one thing, the other party believing in another thing. Because it seems that everybody argue, okay, I'm pursuing with this accounting system, but it's not prescribed by my manual. So I'm not saying this is an excuse item, but I'm just saying that definitely there's a need for this to happen, so that at least all of us would one day sit down and be singing from the same hymn book. We will not come here, different councils coming, giving different excuses or technicalities.
Okay, I get the point, Claire.
Yeah.
So basically, we are saying there is a need to on the overall financial framework of local councils.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that is a point well noted, and I think there is a general need for that. Even the Auditor General expresses the same views, and that is why we are here as FPAC and the National Assembly. At the end of the day, it's our mutual responsibility to see that we continuously improve, and be rest assured, we are going to make sure that our recommendations touches on those ones. But my main question would be in relation to 2019. I fully understand where the Director of Finance is coming from. You joined later around 2020, not so?
Yeah.
2021. We are talking about 2019. We recognize the improvements that BCC is doing, but we want to concentrate our deliberations on 2019 and 2020 and as to why they were happening. What were the underlying reasons for those anomalies? Was it capacity? Was it error? Was it otherwise? Because we cannot move away from the cash book. The main reason is it is the root. He understands. He's a chartered accountant. It's the root from where all other things stem up. It is the basis from which these accounts are what? Derived. And the auditors are telling us certain things are simple accounting. Debit and credit that have nothing to do with the local government service, financial manual or policy. That have to do with capacity. An item to be debited or to be credited is simple in accounting. That one, the service manual doesn't even need to guide you. The cash book, the cash column, having a credit closing balance, that is not possible. Cash is an asset. Are we together? These are serious errors in the books. It means there are anomalies. You cannot overdraw your cash. How can you spend something that you don't have? And in the opening statement of the Director of Finance yesterday, he said, BCC operates on what? Cash basis. What you have is what you spend. So now, how do you spend without having it? And this is what the external auditors are saying. I hear that. So, and the overall implications also, we need to realize it collectively as a team so that we will all know, yes, this is the issue. So that tomorrow the CEO and the Lord Mayor, when they go, they can even assess themselves and say, okay, Alhamdulillah, this is where we were in 2019, but this is where we are today. But still we have A, B, C, and D to do. But if we don't accept that, it won't go. Or if we don't realize it, we need to realize it. That one, the basis for the preparation of these accounts was not reliable because the actual source was not accurate. The auditors said it. We don't have to take it at face value. That's why we are having this engagement. So I know the accountant is sorry. Hey, Mr. Chairman is the accountant. At that particular time, I wouldn't go there, but these are the observations of the auditors, and the inaccuracy and incompleteness of the main cash book is one of their basis for the disclaimer of what? Opinions. Altogether.
Yeah.
So now, on a final note, what I would just want to ask the CEO is this. In 2019, were you aware that indeed your main cash book was not maintained properly? Or the main cash book at Banjul City Council was not maintained properly, and as such, it couldn't be relied upon? Whether that did come to the notice of the management in 2019?
It did come to our attention that I was giving you a historic background of this whole thing. That's the reason why I told you that, you know, when we started this catch book variations, it even went up to our ministry. That's what I was telling you. So it's not just this venue where we're discussing about the catch book appropriateness. So.
We'll draw the quote in there, but before that, we have to be very fair. We'll give the mayor, the Lord Mayor, the opportunity if you want to react to that issue before we move to the other one, because I think we've established the main facts around it. So in case you don't have a reaction to it, you are not compelled to do so. But if you should, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chair, good morning to all of you. I think I have to say that I'm not an accountant, and to be quite honest, I have a little knowledge of how these things function. I think it is important also to understand that my role is an oversight role. Many things will come to my attention when I have the audit report, or if any personnel come to me. I'm not dealing with council's administration by day. So all I do, I'm a politician. I'm not an administrator. I take responsibility of everything that happens in council. But one thing that I want us also to bear in mind is my role is an oversight function, and the CEO is there to take care of the administration of council. I heard people talking about millions of dollars missing, or
No, we will not go there.
Okay,
we want to maintain this.
Okay.
So, sorry, I will interject.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, let me just guide. Let me just guide. In this August assembly, our deliberations are based on evidence.
Thank you.
And they follow a guided pattern.
Thank you.
Right now, it is on the main cast book. And the main reason I give you the floor is because of your oversight function. The CEO said it came to their attention. So I'm giving you the opportunity whether you will highlight the fact that he did inform you at some point and what actions you did. But whatever is in the grapevines, we are not concerned. We are only concerned about this book.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
That's very much appreciated.
Yes, okay.
Yes, the CEO consulted me on many times on different things that that are happening in the council, indeed, and I'm sure this has also come to my attention. But as I said, I'm not an accountant, so all advices I have concerning about accounts or anything comes from the CEO or from the accounts office, and most of the time I agree with what they advise me to do.
Today you will be an accountant.
What they tell me. So, but the only time that I will see anything is when the auditors are in house, or when the audit reports come. So, for example, like in 2019 having 76 million as the revenue, and 2020 having 65 million as the revenue. So these are things that I will come and ask you. Okay, why do we have, for example, 70 million in 2019 and 65 million in 2020? These are things that interest me a lot, because what I always want to see is a lot of revenue coming into the council. So I understand 2020 we have COVID. So that is the very reason that he gave to me. So anything that comes in the audit report is when I exactly knows that this and this are happening. So many things indeed will come to my attention only if the CEO tells me, or if the accountant, if the finance manager comes and put it in my attention.
Okay, Lord Mayor, I was just going to pass, but I would stay for two questions. One is with regards to your oversight role. The moment you have an oversight responsibility, it means you wear the cap of the CEO, you wear the cap of the Director of Finance, you wear the cap of the Procurement Officer, and every other guy. And one thing I would stress is, you have the heart for more revenue to come to BCC. Without maintaining the cash book properly, it provides loopholes. Because if you look at the report is telling you there are certain transactions recorded in the cash book which even their occurrence cannot be what? Confirmed.
Right.
Whether they have happened or not. And similarly, there could be omissions altogether. So what I'm trying to say here is the proper management of that cash book should be of primary concern to your office. And if indeed the CEO have brought it to your notice, I believe moving forward, you have to take it very well, because without proper management of cash, you won't have funds. And if you don't have funds, there is no way that you can move forward with your developmental prospects. So, honorable members, if at all we don't have further questions, I think we've established the facts that indeed BCC have accepted the fact that the cash book was not prepared or maintained properly. So as such, the observations by the auditors is what? Sustained. Do you have any other questions to that?
Yes.
Okay, please.
This one goes to the Lord Mayor as the political head of the council. Since then, when you knew about this issue, did you ever request a quarterly audited report from the administration? Because I know you must have an account committee where you have councillors. So because basically in the best practices, there should be audited quarterly report that should be provided to the council so that, it will guide you. Because if you have that, at the end of the year, you can consolidate that, which will help. So I don't know whether you have that in place.
Not only quarterly, many times the CEO will come and brief me on certain things that are going on. So these are things, as I said, that I'm taking responsibility. I'm aware of these things. It's not that I am not aware of them. I knew about them, but I really want the assembly also to appreciate and to understand that council, we are evolving. If you look at 2018, what is happening and what happened in 2019 and 2020 is totally different. So it means that we're still learning from what auditors are telling us.
So what I mean, up till now, do you normally generate audited report that is presented to the general council so that, at least you and your councillors, you can perform your proper oversight on the administration?
I think in many times the CEO, I stand to be corrected, that the audit report has been discussed in council, yes.
Okay, any other questions on the main cash book? And then I would like to recognize the presence of Honorable Musa Cham, who is also a member of the FPAC, and Honorable Kiaba Tumani Sane, who is member of the FPAC as well. And the clerks have just informed me that the internal auditor for the council is here, and he said he've confirmed it with the CEO. So welcome, but the thing is you've administered the oaths, so as at now we cannot do the administration for you. But at any moment where we realize that the need for you to intervene have arrived, or you want to intervene, let us know. Before your intervention, the clerk have to do the relevant administrations. So right now we will continue with the proceedings. Honorable members, we can move on to the unpresented GTRs. Those are the general treasury receipts. The auditors have realized during their audit inspection that 4 GTRs were not provided. So we want to know whether these GTRs were recorded in the cash book, or are they reflective in the financial statements? Or first, let's establish from the auditors what was the basis for their findings. How did you establish that finding? In page 11 of 2020.
On confirmed GTR, page 11. On confirmed GTR, yeah. Regulation 405 of the Financial and Accounting Manual for Local Government Authorities. They are different. The 4 GTR. Okay, on page 24. Okay. Okay. Page 24, yeah. Section 29 of Local Government Finance and Audit Act 2004 states that council shall make available at all times for inspection by the Auditor General the accounts being audited together with all books, papers, vouchers, cash, and money relating to those accounts. Finding: the council did not present some of the GTRs requested for review. These books were part of the sample selected from Gambia Publish and Printing Corporation extract. Details are below. These are the GTRs 2019, and then the serial numbers are there, and then the collectors given. Because before we go to the council, we do an extraction at the printing department, because all GTRs should be, collected from the printing department, the national printing. So we will do an extract of all the GTR receipts supplied for that period. So when we are at conducting our audit, we will draw our sample from that information collected from the printing department. So these GTRs were requested during the audit, but they were not submitted, and the details are detailed here. And then
okay, thank you. And by GTRs you mean?
Yeah, these are the
general transaction receipts.
General triplicate receipts.
Triplicate receipts, huh?
Triplicate receipts, yeah.
Triplicate
because
receipts.
the risk with the GTR is that it will not, it can collect any amount. So even one GTR, it can collect $5, it can collect 5 million, it can collect that, so you don't know the actual amount that particular GTR has collected. That's the risk, yeah.
In total, how many books?
4. All in 2019, and the serial numbers are all indicated. 2019 77801 to 77850, and then the other one 77901 to 77950, and the other one. So they are full books, 4 of them.
And each book, is it correct or accurate to say that each book contains 50?
Yes, each book contains 50.
So we say 200 seats.
Yeah, 200. Yeah.
Okay, so we will come back to the Director of Finance.
True. Maybe I can read their management response, and then that will give you a, yeah.
Okay.
So if you go to their response, because the risk, okay, maybe the implication, we said there is a risk that the monies received with this GTR might be misappropriated since the supplier and the quantity of books received were not known. And the recommendation, we said management should provide the unpresented GTR for audit verification or appropriate action taken against the officers concerned. And the management response, the listed GTR were requested during the exercise and later provided by the chief cashier for review. That's the response from the management. And then the auditors further comment, where these GTRs were not provided for our review during the audit, after the audit exercise, during and after the audit exercise.
Okay, thank you. Which means even after the management response, you are confirming that they were never presented for your review.
Exactly.
Honorable members, do you have any question to that? In that case, I can reserve mine. You come up, or do I continue? Okay, then I'll go to the Director of Finance. The auditors are claiming that 4 GTR books are not provided as per the list that they received from GPPC prior to the audit. And even after the audit, after the management response, still the books are not what provided. So can you shed light into that as to how GTRs are what requested, how they are received, how they are managed, and eventually in particular, what is the status of this particular one?
Okay. Honorable Chair, with regards to the GTRs that were unpresented during the audit exercise, if I can recall, there was a time when we tasked the finance manager to provide all the missing GTRs.
So, sorry, can I interject? Do you want us to take that statement? If you can recall, just tell us what you can recall, not the probability.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us what happened.
What happened was actually the finance manager was tasked with, searching all the documents that were missing. All these books were later on retrieved from the store. In fact, during the exercise, we realized that some of the books that were already with the auditors were claimed to be, missing also. So we had to intervene ourselves to check in the box, from the documents that we have issued to them, and then sometimes we realized that they were actually present. Maybe they were not, visible to the auditors. Maybe you have a lot of documents that were actually in the store, and then they wouldn't know the layout. So we've been doing that, and then all these GTRs that we are missing were actually presented. Because later on, the auditor, the finance manager was asked to, take all these books together with all other documents that were claimed to be missing to the audit, National Audit Office. So they were all taken to the National Audit Office, inspected, and then returned back to council.
Are you telling us that the 4 GTRs claimed as unpresented to the auditors were indeed presented to them?
They were indeed presented. These GTRs...
No, let's get it straight now. Who did the presentation to the auditors?
It's the finance manager.
Where is the finance manager?
He's away, he's not in town.
He is not in town.
He's not in town, yes.
There's one thing I can tell you. If they were presented, there should have been a confirmation. The auditors have no reason to come and mislead this assembly.
And
do you have those books?
We still have those books with us because they were supplied to the chief cashier.
Okay, you have the GTRs.
We have the GTRs with us, yes. We can still present them.
Okay. Now we would request that you present those GTRs to the National Audit Office.
Okay.
Together. And when it is being presented, when you are going for the presentation, go with an acknowledgement sheet.
Okay.
And a copy of that acknowledgement sheet should be sent to this committee within a week. So I would come to the finance director because he is the head of finance. How are these GTRs maintained? How are they maintained?
Thank you, Chair. The GTRs, I can speak when I took over, looking at the sensitivity, as the auditor have just dilated, of the GTRs, and then also trying to acclimatize myself in my new environment. I did something that was maybe dictatorial or not in tandem with what I found. What I did when I was handing over, I took every instrument that council uses for its revenue into my office. Prior to my coming, I don't know, because they were in the finance manager's office. But when I took over, I said, until I settle down, I need to take 100% custody of all these books. And from the handing over spot, I moved everything into my office, opened a locker, and handed over the keys to the internal audit. Whoever wants any GTR, any book, you go to the internal auditors, they escort you to my office, and you do the needful. So 2 years coming now, we've been operating like that. Everything is in my office, and not a single book is issued without an auditor being present. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have the internal auditors in? We'll correlate that one, and from them also we'll verify how it works. Did you no? Wait, before you provide evidence, you have to. Yeah. Thank you.
Abdullah Jacob. Jacob. JJ. Yeah, Kor. Okay. I think the mic is on.
Yeah.
I, Abdullah J. Kaur,
I, Abdullah Jacob,
do hereby affirm that
do hereby affirm that
I will speak the truth,
I will speak the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
So help me.
So help me Allah.
Thank you. Mr. Kaur? We are on the issue of the GTR, the General Triplicate. Sorry, the question is coming. The external auditors, the National Audit Office is claiming that during the audit exercise, 4 GTR books were not provided. The accountant claimed that indeed they were provided, but maybe the books were made. The National Audit Office couldn't say it. We've done a conclusion to that. Now we are telling the council to take it. So we triangulated from the finance director. One he said is refreshing and really reassuring. He said, as of now, all GTRs are locked in his office, and you are the one in custody, because there is no issuance without your presence or the presence of the Internal Audit Office. Can you tell us how it is obtained?
Yeah, he is right. Prior to his arrival, we were not consented in most cases, unless and until when we are doing our reconciliation. That's the best time we know whether there are on missing. But when the arrival of the new director of finance, that's Mr. Momodu Kamara, he come up with a standard whereby internal audit officers must be present before even a single GTR is issued. He is right.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said before his arrival?
Yes.
Okay. When did he arrive in BCC? When did he become a staff?
Precisely October 2020.
Fine. And now we are talking about 2019. So which means the system that was in BCC before 2019 is totally different from what the director have given us. And equally, he's very right in giving us that's the system, because I asked that question. How is it obtained now? But you said before his arrival, it was different.
Yes.
How was it done before?
Yeah.
How was it done in 2019 specifically?
Yeah, in 2019, the collectors will just go to the finance department and sign and collect their GTRs as usual.
Who was at the finance department by then?
two officers were in charge of the GTR prior to Mr. Kamara's arrival. Mr. Sham was the custodian of the GTR and later transferred the GTR to Mr. Ibudrame, the then finance manager.
Okay, that procedure, is it in accordance with the finance and accounting manual of the local government authorities?
Yes.
That the accountants can give out the GTRs without the internal audit? Is that in compliance with the regulations?
Yes.
It's in compliance?
Yes.
So which means the way it was obtained in 2019 is correct?
Yes.
Is correct?
Yes.
Then we don't have further questions to that. We would proceed. So National Audit Office, BCC will provide these GTRs, and when they are coming, they would come up with their acknowledgement sheet. I'm just surprised that the internal auditor said he doesn't need to do any verification. The accountants can do it and it is fine. So I have a different opinion, because the internal audit function is created for a purpose. The main reason the new director of finance gives you the responsibility, he knew that that is the right status quo. And the way it was obtained by them without any internal audit verification was giving room to what? Suspicion. And so many other issues could happen. Yes, Mr. Cham, after him you can come. Yeah.
I come now or after him. Okay, Honorable Chair, I just want to dilate on the issue of the GTRs. Before we've been handling the GTRs, immediately, getting the supply from the GPPC, that's the national printers. We have a CRBR where we record all the GTRs. And then the serial numbers are kept accordingly in chronological order.
And then who keeps that? Who keeps that ledger?
It was myself who keeps the CRBR.
What was your role?
I was by then the acting director of finance. Okay. So having done that, we register all the books that were received from GPPC to the CRBR, and then from there we supply to the relevant officials, the revenue collectors and the cashiers. So whatever is supplied is recorded and it is signed by the receiver who received the GTR. So intermittently, the internal auditors will come and pick the CRBR and then verify, check, because their role is to ensure internal controls and to check the CRBR whether it is done accordingly. So at the end of the period or at the end of the year, we ensure that all GTR supplied, which are not exhausted, are returned back, because we close all our books of accounts and then open other books. So that is how it was done, and then it was all confirmed and checked by the internal auditor. Because for me, for my part, the internal auditor, getting directly involved in supplying the, books, the CRBR is actually, I wouldn't call it is not in line for me, because they are supposed to do the checking. So if at all they are actually directly involved in the supply, then who is going to do the checking?
Let's concentrate on the 2019.
Yes,
You
yes.
said how it was obtained in 2019.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've got that layout.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That
the
is-
rest will be an internal issue at BCC where you would not encroach into. We have an oversight role, so we would not be there to tell you this or that.
Okay.
So but we've got your version as to how it was obtained
Yes.
in 2019. Honorable members, do you have any questions with regards to the GTR?
Yes, I just have a question to the CEO, being the Chief Accounting Officer of the Council. I just want to establish whether you have an internal control mechanism for all financial transactions of the Council.
Yeah, the internal controls, of course, do exist because, for example, like the officer himself is there. I go through the routine procedure of submitting payments for verification and then get verified, or at times he would march into my office and tell me that have observations, so I'll listen to him. So I think he's on the right track. Then we take it that way. So I am working along those lines. I make sure that every, especially major payments, goes to them. They look at them. If they are satisfied, they approve it. So definitely, yes, I work along those lines. And I think he could attest it easier.
Any other questions from honorable members?
Good afternoon, and then let me just apologize for coming late. My question here is because one thing I realize is teamwork is very important. Because for me, I define team as togetherness, engagement, achievement is meaningful. This is how I define it in my own words. And then anytime you people don't work as a team, there are a lot of difficulties or challenges, I may call it, that you encounter. That's why I want to ask the CEO, what are some of the challenges that you encounter during this GTRS management or managing these receipt books? What are some of the challenges, like before 2019 or 2020, yes, in 2019? What are some of the difficulties?
Can I please get a further clarification?
Yeah.
Is it based on the?
Yeah, looking like how they were handling it. You know, when the new director of finance came in, he has to king the procedure by making sure that he locks everything, and anyone who comes for these receipt books, he has to make sure that he has to go through the internal auditors. Because,
Like what the Lord Mayor just said, I'm also not like an expert in financial matters. Although I can read overall financial statements, I am able to do that. But like what you are saying, we've always made sure, because what I'm saying is in records. But in particular, but I'll come to that later, if I'm given a chance to make an overview. But what I just want to say is that even the internal audit department of the council, I was instrumental in forcing the council to create it. Though we still have capacity issues, as the chairman said. This will be highlighted further more. But as of now, I just want to let you know that all these procedures, I was like, for example, instrumental in seeing to it that they happen. Our internal audit department, even if you do not have a qualified auditor, because I know it's so difficult in the market to get a qualified internal auditor, but at least it was created. So the need for adherence or compliance to regulations being cancelled gradually. It was difficult terrain though in those days, but then we managed to get this internal auditor. Internal audit department created, and then we started manning the unit. Although capacity-wise, we still way back. Then, these structures we have made sure over the years we fought to get them. Whatever. Even right now, as I'm talking to you, we're always at loggerheads with our local government service commission, because we have applications that were received for the position of internal audit director and also procurement, because these are two important units.
Next question is, are you always provided with monthly reports?
Sorry.
Monthly report.
Can you maintain it on the GTR?
GTR.
Because
If you on that one, whether it's provided, because if it's provided with the monthly report, probably you are able to detect some of these problems. That's why I'm asking that question. Whether every month you are provided with that report, like finance report, because when you are provided, it should include all how these receipt books. Maybe I'm.
I think you need to separate the receipt books with your other question, because the receipt books, like they've told you, is under the custody of the director of finance.
Yeah.
When they go to take the books, they go to the ministry. We just don't go on our own. We go to the ministry. They are aware. whenever we go to collect these books. So the procedural aspect of the GTRs is in line. Okay, maybe like it was unfortunate that the presentation of the GTRs were not done at the time the auditors were not there. But like what Mr. Cham told us, that he's having it and the chairperson is allowing us to furnish the audit department with it later on.
You have any other question, Honorable? That's okay. I just want to say this. If you look at the audit report, it underpins the importance of these GTRs, because one book or even one page of these GTRs can be in millions. Equally, it can be less than $100. So what we are trying to say here is missing GTRs can result in loss of revenue for the council. Because the moment those GTRs are presented, it means what? They are official what? Documents. They are receipts. They are receipt books. So the main reason we are not probing further into it is because Mr. Cham is saying the books are there. That's all. Mr. Cham is saying the books are there, and we are ordering that let the books be supplied to the National Audit Office within a week. Today is Thursday. By next week, Wednesday, those books have to be there. Because if they do not go, I mean, that's not good. And in our recommendation, or whatever we'll be doing at the end of the day, it will be part of the what? Actionable points. Because we are talking about 200 receipt papers, or 4 books, each containing 50 sheets. But the main reason we are not putting more emphasis into it is, he's saying, in fact, it didn't happen. They are there. So once you say they are there, which means all the implications shouldn't be. But we'll take your word for that. And make sure when you sign it, there's an acknowledgement signed. Because you said your accountant before did send it to the National Audit Office. And they are saying the guy never came because they never saw it. And the bad side of that is, the unfortunate aspect is that individual is no longer in town. So whatever is being said about him, we would accept it. But since you said they are there, make sure they are provided to the National Audit Office. If they are not, the committee will take action. You want to say something, Mr. Chair? Yes, you may come up.
Yes, sir. I just want to clear a seemingly ambiguity with regards to this, missing GTRs. These GTRs were, when we say they were missing...
Mr. Cham?
Yes, sir.
Are they there or not? We want to close that and move to the other.
Yeah, they are there, but...
They are there. Can you provide it to them?
Yes, we can provide it to them. But what I mean is, they were supplied to the chief cashier, who is still there. And then these GTRs were supplied, recorded, signed, and then duly used, and they're recorded in the cash book. So maybe they could not actually see the physical cash book for inspection, and then to see whether the amounts recorded were actually...
That's okay. Our primary concern is the missing GTRs.
Yeah.
Once you've confirmed that they are no longer missing,
yes,
we take your word for it.
Yes, exactly.
And now we are saying, let it go to the council. And that responsibility, we are giving it to you, because you will be the one to be highlighted in the recommendation. Lord Mayor, you want to say something before I move? Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I think the easiest thing to do is, we're here in Banjul. He can just make a call and the cashier can bring it here.
Is that possible?
Yes.
Is that possible? Excuse and then make sure it comes. You can just do that outside. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Auditor. I want us to further it. Yes. Good.
Yeah, thank you. I think we are used to this, to be honest. Document this thing is provided to the auditors. We are used to that. That's why when we are preparing our reports, we are very careful. We didn't even say missing. That's why we say unpresented. If it is there, not presented to us, well, it is a. And then that's why we are also very careful, the date and the serial number. Maybe the sample was about 50 or 60. The ones that we have seen, we will not mark those ones as not seen, but this. And then what I also wanted these things to understand is like, audit is a procedure. Before you finalize this report, we are in it together. Starting from the entrance meeting, the documents that you want. If the report's supposed to take 3 months, I think BCC, it took almost 6 months. And we have the exit meeting. The purpose of the exit meeting, each and every query, we went through each and every query with the rest of the management, the CEO and his team, to confirm that these are our queries, and then before we finalize the report. But it's okay if we are to, so we don't have any, because our responsibility is to enhance and improve the system. Yeah.
Okay, Lord Mayor.
Mr. Chair, I just want to concur with Mr. Tarawale, because sometimes also, I don't know whether it's capacity or what all of said matter, because in most cases, they will come to my office and say, we don't see this, we don't see this, we don't see this. And I have to force some of the staffs to go to Crab Island, where we have these circles, archives with our papers, to take it out. So most of the time, they are also lazy to go and take out these things and give it to the auditors. So, and he's right. If they don't see it, they write, they have no choice other than saying unfounded A, B, or C. Unpresented A, B, or C. And these are things that I'm very comfortable with, because I can tell you, Mr. Chair, 100% they are there. So they need to go and search for it. So there are not only this, you will be surprised that I even come with some evidences that the auditors, it was not presented to the auditors. And the auditors had no choice other than to say, we did not see this and that. Whereas some of those papers were also copied by the CEO and given to me. So when I saw them, I said, okay, hey, I called my secretary and said, you remember this and this and this here? Where is it? Bring it to me. And some of them is here with me. I'm just waiting for you to arrive there. So sometimes also we have to take the zeal to help the auditors also.
Thank you. The common understanding I just have is, I think the Lord Mayor is different from the team. Or is it not one BCC now? It's one BCC. So for me, I will take all of you as one. But that is leadership as well. That's leadership. So we hope the receipt books will be presented. So now what we will do is we'll move away from the unpresented GTRs and then go to the debtors and creditor listings. And to this, I will refer you to page 7 of both the 2019 and 2020 financial statements. Page 7. No, I've said it. Seven, you can just note that those are part of the reasons for the disclaimer of opinion by the auditors. Why I'm referring you to it is just to add flesh to what we are saying. The auditors are saying the council did not maintain individual debtors and credit ledgers to record loans issued and received, repayment amounts and balances at given periods. So what we realize is the listings in the notes, and this listings in the note is note 15. Note 15 of 2019 and note 15 of 2020 are all the same. Can we go through them? Let's start with page 11 of the financial statement and look at note 15. That's the development budget. 26 million. So let's look at note 15 of 2019. Note 15 of 2019 should be on page 25. 25 of 2019. Are we there? What I'm trying to get at is, if you go to page 11, that is the revenue and expenditure statement. The last item on the expenditure is the development expenditure of 26 million for 2019. And the listings to that is done on note 15, and the explanatory note of note 15 is in page 25. Are we there? Okay, let's look at 2020. 2020 again, let's go to page 11. Page 11 is the income and expenditure statement. Note 15 is the development budget. And the total value there is 5.2 million. Not so. Let's go to page 25 of 2020 as well. This time will be page 24. If we go to page 24 of 2020 and compare it with the notes on page 25 of 2019, the listings are all the same. Even though the subheads will say note 15 development budget for 2019 26 million, and note 15 development budget for 2020 5.2 million. But if we look at the explanatory notes, which are the flashes to the figures, they are all the same. And I can read it for you. Let's go to page 25 of 2019, and I will read. Note 15 development expenditure, total amount 26,565,786.93. It reads, this line of expenditure caters for capital expenditure on infrastructure and social development. It is based on development expenditure budgeted at 75% direct revenue funding and 25% government subvention. It is a requirement to allocate 60% of total revenue budget to development, out of which 25% should be anticipated from government as subvention. It continues, however, the total expenditure on capital and development represents 32.6% of the total expenditure for the year from direct revenue and grants of 1,110,514.87. From extended 500,000 from government as a grant in aid, as anticipated government subvention is not forthcoming. Detailed in the table below is a synopsis of the activities undertaken during the year 2019. Let's refer to the notes on page 24 of 2020. So these notes I've just read are the explanations to the 26 million of 2019. Now the notes on page 24 of 2020 give you the explanatory notes to the 5.2 million of 2020. And let's get that. The same thing, it says note 15 development expenditure, total value of 5,276,694.70. This line of expenditure caters for capital spending on infrastructure and social development. It is based on the development expenditure budget projected at 75% direct revenue funding and 25% government subvention. It is a requirement to allocate 60% of total expenditure to development budget, out of which 25% should be anticipated from government as subvention. However, the total expenditure on capital and development represent about 32.6%. The same percentage for 2019 is used for 2020. Out of a total for the year from direct revenue and grants of 1.1 million, that direct revenue of 1.1 belongs to 2019 and not 2020. From Ostende and 500,000 from government. So in essence, what we are saying is we do not have the explanatory notes to the $5.2 million reported as development expenditure in 2020. And this is not the only line item. It affects all the notes from 1 to 15. The notes for 2019 are in order, but the notes for 2020 is a copy and paste from 2019 to 2020. Although the subheads will differ, 5.2 and 26 million, that would differ, but the narrations down we should add flesh to the skeleton of figures presented in the financial statements are the same. So I would give the management, starting with the director of finance, to put some lights on this before we move further to the auditor's findings at what implications it will have.
Yeah, but for me, I just need to ask, what was the management response? Did the auditors capture that? Tarawale?
No, the audit report is here. We do the questions here.
No.
The issue is the auditors captured it in their audit opinion and management provided no response to it. In the audit opinion, I can read the person for you. Yeah. I can read the person for you. Tole, go through your management letter and the audit opinion and give me the relevant persons which I will post. But the question goes to management. Why is it that you have the same narrative notes, explanations, with the series of events in 2019 and 2020 when they are totally different?
Honorable Chair, I can note that we provided notes to the accounts in 2019, but the notes to the accounts in 2020 were not provided. In fact, it comes to me by surprise that I have seen the same notes for 2020. Because we have.
Again, are you saying the notes to 2020 are not provided?
They were not provided, because
they were not provided to the auditors.
They were not provided.
To who? The auditors?
To the auditor. They were not, in fact, because the same template was used for 2020. Because the template that we used for 2019 was actually developed into 2020.
Mr. Cham.
Yes, sir.
You are an accountant.
Yes, sir.
Let us be very, very careful of what we say. You see, if you don't provide summary notes to your accounts, the auditors will not engage you.
Yeah,
they cannot work on skeletons. Do you understand?
I understand.
The summary notes provide explanations as to the figures. So if you did not provide notes to the auditors, they don't even have done an audit. They don't have anything back to you. So the question of saying they are not provided is not there.
That is why I just want to dilate on what has happened. Because when we prepared the accounts for 2019 and then the notes for 2019, we used the same template to develop the accounts for 2020. So we actually changed all the accounts as to what has happened in 2020. But with regards to the notes, we left them there because we are supposed to update them.
Now,
according to what we have for.
Can I correct you? They were provided. Not so. You didn't change them, but you provided them as they were. Not so.
They were not supposed to be part of the
report. I want this corrected. You said they are not provided. You know the implications. It meant the National Audit Office inserted in your report something that you didn't give them, which would be unethical. Now I want it corrected.
It was the template that we gave them that carried those notes, but they were not relevant for 2020.
Sorry. Let's correct what you said. Can we agree to the fact that you provided those notes to the National Audit Office?
We provided those notes to the National Audit, but they are not relevant for 2020.
No, that is not for them.
Yes.
You are an accountant. Now take us through the requirements for engagement with auditors. What do you normally give auditors? Is it not the financial statements?
Usually set of financial statements together with the notes. Yeah.
Notes.
Yeah.
So now, if you give National Audit Office financial statements for 2020 with notes of 2020 by changing the subheads, is it not only natural that they engage and do their audit exercise?
I think it was.
No. Is it not? You've given them everything they need.
Yes.
So now let's accept the fact that you copied from 2019 and pasted in 2020, and the accounts of 2020 do not have summary notes.
They do not have summary notes.
Okay. At this point, I would take a little break and leave the floor to the honorable members if we have any questions on the summary notes before. Okay. Let's allow the honorable members. If they do not have questions, you can come in before the director. Do you have any questions on the summary notes? Director, you may.
What happened here is, if I can remember vividly, because I came in the tail end of 2020. So, but I sat with Mr. Chan every day and then looked at where we are and charter a new path forward. And then looking at 2019, I found what was presented is like a book of 65 pages. I told my colleague, look, you are doing a financial statement for the organization. It needs to go through guidelines, not writing a novel.
Mr. Kamara, sorry to interject. What I want, how the proceedings go is, it's not about individuals. Now, we just want to concentrate on the document provided and the information therein.
Yes, why I came in is, if you look at what was submitted, this 2020 is 1/3 of 2019. So, and what was submitted, I didn't see the breakdown that is being brought in this final audit. So wherever the information came from, is not the document that BCC has presented for the auditors to look at and express an opinion. Because you can see...
Sorry, I will interject before you move. I think I will go the same line I took with Mr. Chan.
Yes.
Because now you are conflicting what he said.
Yes.
Mr. Chan indeed confirmed that when they were generating the financial statements for 2020, they adopted the 2019 format. When they adopted the 2019 format, they changed the subheads, but they didn't change the narrative notes. And they provided that document to the auditors.
Okay.
So it means the information emanated from what? BCC. And the worst case scenario would have been if at all BCC didn't provide any what? Summary notes. Because the accounts will be incomplete. As it stands, they are incomplete. Because without the notes which are there are inaccurate.
Yeah.
And people cannot make any informed decisions out of them. You know? And we've established that they indeed come from BCC. So I think I will pose this question. This question would go to the CEO. Do we review at managerial level? Do we review these documents before we send them out?
Yeah, we do review documents, but in this special case, I think if I'm having my way, I will allow the former director of finance, who was the author, to make a more comprehensive explanation, because like what you are rightly saying, you don't want to hear from somebody else who was not having the responsibility as of now. So I want us to exhaust with the previous holder, then we're able to,
that is done. We have listened to the former director of finance.
No, because he is still insisting.
No, he is not insisting.
The other one.
Which one?
The previous holder.
I'm telling you, he didn't insist. You are here, we are all present when he said they adopted the format of 2019.
Yeah.
Without 2020.
Yeah.
Without editing it. So whose responsibility is that? Is it BCC or National Audit Office?
No, of course it's not National Audit.
Fine. And that is what National Audit Office said is the notes of 2020 are a copy and paste of 2019. And that is what
He's confirmed.
the director of audit accounts have confirmed. And why we are pressing on it is part of the reasons why they could not provide basis of opinion. Because without the summary notes, without the notes to the accounts, it means we only have the skeleton, but the flesh is not there. The flesh is not there. So, but why am I saying whether we review it? Because it didn't take us a day. If you look at my books, I divided them into two folds. This and this, they are all what? Duplications. This equals to this. This is 2019, this is 2020. So I believe what we need to do is really encourage to improve on our internal checks, right? You might not be an accountant, the mayor might not be an accountant, that's very true. And when it comes to the primary accounting functions, you would not be involved. But the moment the document goes out of BCC, it's your responsibility as the CEO, the chief finance officer, and the mayor with an oversight responsibility. And it will be the two of you who will be held responsible, because whatever they do it in your name. You know, you've been the chief technician. So I strongly believe we should have checked this. And if at all it was checked at that material moment in time, probably it wouldn't be this level. Because obviously wherever you have figures, there must be what explanations, unless and until they come from somewhere. So to the auditors, do you want to come? Yes, you can say something.
Yes, I want to come in. If you look at the financial statement, even before I've been the director of audit, sign it, the management of BCC has to sign it first before I can. If they don't sign it, I don't even have the power to present it here. And then even if it is the case that the audit team, and the one thing, anything that comes, even if you look at the management response, even if there is a spelling error, my team will not change it. Even if the sentence structure is not correct, if you look at the management response, we will not even change it because it's there. We don't want to alter anywhere. We will just copy or type it exactly as they presented and then put it there. And then this financial say, even if my team mistakenly or willingly, which I don't expect, put it there, the report is going to them for them to sign, go through, confirm that what is here is fine, we agree, and they sign, then before I finally sign it. So that's just the explanation I want to provide. Yeah.
Thank you. Honorable members, any observations on that particular one? Okay. Any
The function of the CEO in preparing this document, because the CEO is the link between the administration and the general council, that is the mayor and the councillors. You are the liaison between them and the administration. So then what part do you play in preparing this, in these audited accounts? What is your role?
When such documents come in, you know, documents of this technical nature, when they come in, I gather as much technical advice as possible. So, and then normally I will go to the mayor and give the advices that were provided. Or if you have council meetings, and then, you know, like some areas are a question, then based on the technical advice, I advise the council. That's the modus operandi.
Okay.
CEO, I think as far as councils are concerned, you have a greater role as far as the day-to-day administration of the council is concerned. And this is why they said CEOs of council are the chief accounting officer. So whatever happens in the council is your responsibility. Whatever transaction even the finance department are doing, at the end of the day, everything has to come to you. You go through it, even checks and whatever you sign. So actually, I don't expect, to say maybe you are not technically or financially, because today you are the CEO. So basically, there are certain basic things you need to know, because at the end of the day, whatever happens here, they will hold you accountable. So this is why it's always important, like at that level, you work with them and try to ensure that whatever they are doing is right.
Okay, I think you cannot be more right than what you just said. But it's a provision that as the chief financial officer or whatever you call it is a fact. But that's the reason why every department that has a director should approve things coming to me. What I do is I endorse. So the facts, information that's given to me would form the basis of my knowledge or the basis for giving advice to the politicians. So I'm not in any way doubting that because it's stipulated in the act, very clear. What I'm also saying is too that the department heads come to me. They give you all the relevant information because I'm not a specialist. You have people managing specialist directorates. They're the specialists. When they come to me, they give me information. They arm me with all the necessary weapons I need to give out technical advice. So that doesn't change. That function is not still changing. But then, whatever I'm told, especially in specialist areas, I assume that in accordance with the public finance management policy, if you have the directorate, all the information you bring to me and all the relevant figures or whatever you may bring to me should be authentic, because I just endorse. By what you said, I really am not trying to go away from that position because that's what the act is.
Sorry. Address it to me, we go. Yes. Okay, you can comment. Okay.
That's why I asked him to help you, like every month, if you are provided with reports from all heads of departments, and then you go through it, and then you also try to learn or familiarize yourself with the auditing procedures. What do they ask? What are some of these things that when auditors come, they look into? It will help you, because I was also one time maybe in your position where I'm audited. So, but if you wait, because every day is transaction financially, and then you wait until when the auditors are there, you are already in trouble.
Look, I come back again to the same thing. Whenever we have issues at council, I think they're here. Whenever we have issues, especially for the past 4 years, we sit as a team. Even if it's an audit report or whatever report comes in, we sit as a team. We look at things. Like I said, they're here. They're not far. They can attest to the fact that as a council, because remember, this is 2019. We are looking at 2019. But if you now are very familiar with what's happening at the city council, you will see to it that there's been a tremendous change in the way things are being done. We're having a better team now, because before, let's face it, when we used to come here before, the reason why it was extended to 2019 as a baseline, I think the Lord Mayor can attest to this. All the new mayors and chairmen thought that it will not be fair on them if we start making reviews before 2019. So it's like an evolution. As I'm talking to right now, this is the first time the council has ever had a chartered accountant. The first time. That was the time I was the most qualified, just 5 years ago, I was the most qualified person in the council. And I'm just a BA honors holder. So it's like a lot of times are being done, especially in this area. And I'm sure even those who are not saying, but if they compare before what they're seeing for now, there's a change. Especially as we are talking to right now. Capacity problem, as the chairman Ariel said, had haunted us a lot in the past. Now we just have a team, just putting up a team right now. Director of Finance, there's still no active director of admin. So, and then director of planning, still no director of internal audit. Still. So we're faced with all these issues. But when it comes to management practice, right now, during the past 4 years, it's been 100 times better than what we used to have before. There is still, of course, there's scope to improve further.
Thank you. And I want to say that at the end of the session, both you and the mayor will be given the opportunity to talk about some of your challenges and achievements. So that's why many a times I will be tempted to interject because we want to maintain it on subject line items. But I think it was only fair to allow you to complete. You know, honorable members, any one on that particular matter, or do you proceed? To proceed on the issue of this non-provision of notes for 2020. I mean, it's rather unfortunate, but the Director of Finance and even the accountant will agree with the National Audit Office that, I mean, that was a very, very serious omission because it doesn't give the auditors any understanding of whatsoever was presented, and as a National Assembly as well, it doesn't provide us with any information. If you look at 2019, you look at the 26 million, there's a listing. And I can give you the listing to that. You know, from the renovation of Albert Market, the renovation of McCarthy Square, fencing of cemetery, 17,000, purchase of vehicles, 3.4, building of slaughterhouse, the list goes that. And this is what summary notes provide, so that stakeholders can know the reasons behind the figures which are present in the financial statements. And to say entirely in 2020 there were no summary notes would only solidify the opinion of indeed the auditors that they couldn't express one. You know, so having established that, we would now move on to the issue of capitalization and the fixed assets register. Of course, we understand the fact from yesterday that, which is the normal rule, all councils, or BCC in particular, is operating on cash basis. But we've also seen, which is the norm, that normally items purchased are charged as for periodic expenses, and the entire amount is charged as an operating cost. So we want to inquire from the Director of Finance whether in 2019 there was any fixed assets register. Do we have a fixed assets register? What is the status and how is it maintained?
Yes, thank you, Chair, once again. That's a very interesting and very important question. The fixed assets register, there is one in council, but the nitty-gritties that make up a correct template of a fixed asset register are absent. What we have in council is listings of assets belonging to council without no historical cost, no valuation of the assets. The few one or two assets that you can cost or you can go into our cash book is when we purchase furniture and the vehicle that we bought for our Lord Mayor. Those things, there is value. And you can see when it was purchased, 2019, it depreciated 4 years now. By next year, it's not appear on our books. But no, you still have assets in council, 25 years. Vehicles, they're 25 years old, but they're there. So what you have in council is a listing of properties and assets belonging to council, but a fixed asset register, because we have not fit the nitty-gritties that a perfect fixed asset register feature. So, and then we also faced with the colonial era problem of not having ownership, because if you say McCarthy Square is owned by council, no title deed, no paper to hold us that this is our property. So those are issues that we've also taken. As CEO have said, management is very serious. We are having our daily meetings and weekly meetings, that these are things that is sine qua non for 2023. Anything BCC, we will get documents to our name to say that these are our assets. So it's a journey that we've started, but a fixed asset register, as you understand it, internationally, it does not exist, but we have listing of assets that purportedly belongs to council.
Thank you, Sir Director. Honorable members, if you have any questions relevant to the fixed asset register, you may come up with them before we allow the auditors. Okay, Honorable Champ, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. In speaking of like the fixed asset, do you have an inventory of all the assets that belongs to the council?
Yes, we do.
And if yes, you are talking of documentation, the lack of documents to indicate that these properties belongs to the council. So what steps have you taken as a council to ensure that you acquire the documents?
So as I said, all the motor vehicles that we've bought, all the furniture that we bought.
But motor vehicles, do they fall under fixed asset?
Yeah, they do. They are very important. Yes.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking of more is like landed properties, things like that.
Yes.
Because for us at the Carnifing Municipal Council, we were there.
Are you Carnifing?
I mean, for us, we were.
No, but now you are in effort.
Now I am in expert. I just want to advise you because I can see and I can hear that you are having problems to have documents, their ownerships.
Yeah.
So, but you can as well try. You said
we have started.
Engage the physical to acquire those documents.
Because it's a great concern to us. We definitely want to improve our fixed asset register and again our balance sheet. Because we definitely want value and put it there so that you can know how rich councils are. Because that component is definitely absent on our balance sheets, so we are reporting it, but it's misleading. Yes.
Okay, Lord Mayor.
What you hear it from the horse's mouth? Because this was a concern also.
No, I just want to make clarification about these landed properties, that we have been making follow-ups to our line ministry. We have written several communications in trying to get documentation, ownerships to all these areas that we are controlling. Be it the Makati Square, be it the Banjul Mini Stadium, the Youth for Excellence, the Banjul Manechila Memorial, you name it, Gaba Jomba. So these are so many areas that councils are taking care of that belongs to us, but the documentation is a real problem. And not that we just sitting down looking at it, but we have been writing correspondence. We can produce correspondence from way back from 2016, 2018 to 2019 up to date. In fact, just last week when we were having this bilateral with our line ministry, it was discussed again that we have to rewrite again to make follow-up. So, exactly. And the problem of valuation is a real problem. Councils cannot do valuation in the absence of the ministry. So we really have problems, definitely.
I think, Chairman, Mr. Chair, I think it's very important to have these things together. And at the same time, hence you've been pursuing it. I think the line ministry should facilitate through the lands and physical planning so that you can have these things documented. But so far so good. At the level of council, I want to establish that whether you don't have any single document which regards to these properties you're talking about.
As we speak now, even the office where we are, we cannot produce a document that is showing us that we own that area. And Banjul City Council has been operating in that premises since colonial time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much. This person is important, and we are also taking note of it. And the good thing about those landed properties is they would never get lost. And since it have been brought to our attention, No, that is the fact. Whether in 100 years' time or 200 years' time, Makati Square will be there. The Center for Excellence will be there, and we'll all know it belongs to Banjul City Council. Are you together? Having them in your books would definitely help to enhance the value, which is very, very important. And as a committee as well, we would also do our utmost best. Equally, what we want to emphasize here is the value attached to those ones as well. The same emphasis have to be attached to the other assets which we buy and take custody of. Because we've inherited the land, but the land would not be lost. But we are the ones who would be acquiring some of these capital assets in the name of the organization. Are you together? And the director of finance have said something that now they have it, but not up to that standard. So in the listing, what I would inquire, do you have these landed properties there? Very good. And in the listing also, you have these capital items there. Very good. So now I would ask the external auditors, were you able to do some verifications of capital acquisitions during 2019? And if so, what were your findings?
I think auditors, I'm not like the mayor politician. I want everything to be evidence-based. I always refer myself to my report, not to... Yeah, I think the only reports about it, we conduct assets verification to look at the conditions of, and that will always come at the back of the report called performance review. That means the properties they are having, their condition, their situation. But for the assets register, there are two findings. The one is on page 55. That's talking about assets not recorded in the asset register. Just like the director of finance has rightly said, if you don't have a standard asset register, and then what the honorable was trying to say, there might be assets that you purchase, you don't record them, so you cannot get account, and they can easily get missing without being traced. So that's what happened for during the 2019. There are assets purchased in 2019 and 2020, and they are not recorded in the asset register. So even if they get missing, it will be very difficult for you to confirm, for anybody to confirm timely. And then you also have assets that are recorded in the asset register, but the date that they were purchased was not recorded, the cost, the amount they were purchased for, the description of the assets, the location where they are, and then even if they have been disposed, are missing in the asset register. These are the two main findings for the asset register. So the properties also, we have a performance review that during the audit, at the end of the audit, that will give us the status of their properties that the councils.
I think the director of finance is on top of issues, because you just confirmed the report he gave that indeed there is a fixed assets register but it's incomplete, that the date of acquisition is not recorded, the historic values are not there, and where they are located are also not there. So I think the inherent risks are what obvious. If such details are not recorded about the fixed assets, obviously, as stated by the auditors, the council will not be in a position to track them. And the moment you cannot track assets, I can easily take them from the office to my home, which is different from the Makati Square. You know, Makati Square to the Lord Mayor, nobody can steal that from you. That belongs to you. But the PC in the office, that computer in the office, be it that laptop, that desktop, that sofa, and other fixed assets, which the council can derive their economic benefits in more than 1 year. If you don't record them properly and you don't have control over them properly, the probability of someone with the surname of mine picking them and taking them home is very high. And currently, as per the audit findings and what the director of finance have said, Banjul City Council is really exposed to those risks, because you don't know when assets are purchased. You don't know the date they are purchased. You don't know how much they were purchased for. You don't know where they are located. All you know is we have vehicle, we have table, we have computer, we have this. That is not safe. So what we will do is we'll encourage the director of finance. Please, when we come again, maybe for the audit of 2021, we want to see some significant improvements into that, a complete fixed assets register, which will definitely bring some control mechanism. Yes, Lord Mayor, you want to say something?
Mr. Chair, I think it is very, very important for us to have our title deeds, simply because, for example, when we move to our new building and want to have somebody who want to engage us like in PPP to have a private partnership with us. And if you cannot produce any document to say that this is ours or this belongs to Banjul, you cannot engage people into business. So title deeds are very, very important. And I had, we're talking here about properties and cars and this, but when we came, the only car that was in council was only one car that belongs to, this was the car that I was having that belongs to the former mayor. So I don't know where, when we talk about cars, I don't know which cars we're talking about, to be quite honest, because what I found, or we found only one car in council that belongs to council. And I want to make this very clear. One car was two, and the other one was with the CEO. And that's it. So I don't know which other cars we're talking about. So but please help us to have our title deeds. They are very, 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 very important, because you cannot say I own this when you don't have a paper.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And I think you are very, very fortunate, because the chairman of the local government select committee is part of FPAC. He is sitting here. So at sectoral level, both at FPAC and sectoral level, we will make sure that we give it the utmost priority it requires. Okay? Because as a council, even by virtue of the act, you have the right to enter into what? Contracts altogether as a separate entity. So that's why we are here. Okay? We'll play our part, and we'll make sure that we do it objectively as to what belongs to council is really controlled by what? Council. The last component of what you said only underscored the relevance of what the Director of Finance said and the National Audit. If there is no fixed assets register, obviously the only thing you will find there will be two cars, because no one can go home with that. You can't. Anywhere people would see it. Because the Director of Finance and the National Audit Office have confirmed that at the council, there is no fixed assets register. What you have is a listing of the properties you have. But when they were bought, how much they are bought for, what is their current status, and where they are, that is not kept, which means you cannot track your assets. If they cannot be tracked, the tendency of someone personalizing them and taking them away becomes very high. I wouldn't conclude to say it happens, because it is not highlighted by what? The auditors. You wouldn't say it happened. But what we can say is the risk is very high. If you want to establish whether it has happened or not, a specific audit can be done for that. But let's limit our findings to this report. So we would draw the curtain on that together. Okay? Yes, Mr. Champ.
I just want to establish the fact that there was a fixed asset register that was incorporated in the report for 2019, but I have not seen that included in the report. And that fixed asset register highlighted all the assets purchased in that year in 2019, as to the date of purchase, the cost, the description of the asset, and then the location. Everything was actually there. So, but I have not seen that included here. And it has been provided as, one of the connected papers in the report.
It was provided to the auditors, right?
It was provided, yes.
Okay, you refer that to the auditor's office?
Yes.
The accountant is claiming that the fixed assets register was provided.
Yeah. The accountant is a professional as well. This is from accounting. Auditing is on exceptional reporting. You look at the weaknesses. There are a lot of good things performed by the council, but the audit report doesn't say they did this, they did this. You highlight the weaknesses where they need improvement. If you look at page 55, it said asset register defined in straight. But before that, the regulation said, regulation 1005 of the Finance and Accounting Manual for Local Government Authorities stated that the fixed asset register shall record the following information of each item: date of acquisition, cost of purchase, description of the asset including mark or model, location, insurance policy, and date of disposal. Our finding: we noted that asset purchase for the years 2019 and 2020 were not recorded in their respective fixed asset register. So we are clear, we have those assets, because that's why we say there is asset register, but it needs improvement. So that's why the Director of Finance said the one there now is like more of a listing. So, and then we go to the next one. It says 3.9.2, the finding, we noted that key information, meaning the fixed asset register was there, but that the key information, such as the insurance policy, the date of disposal of assets, which we are not included in the fixed asset register. And then our recommendation is management should ensure that the insurance policy and disposal details are included in the asset register and details furnished to this office, meaning it needs update to meet the requirement of the asset register. Yeah.
Thank you. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. Honorable members, any question on that before we move on to the next point? Okay, so we can move on to the ledgers now. Ledgers in accounting means books. The auditors noted on page 7 of the 2020 audit report that ledgers for individual accounts for the preparation of financial statements were not available. However, the City Council 2020 report on financial activities did include a trial balance. There were no ledger books. But the City Council came up with a trial balance. Can the auditors tell us what was the origin of that trial balance? To the auditors, did you have access to the trial balance, and if yes, what was the origin? Because what you are saying is there are no books of original entry, and the books of original entry is the basis for
the
establishment of the trial balance.
No ledger. Okay. If you go to page 20 of the management letter. Yeah, you're talking about the no general ledgers, right? That's what. Okay.
Yeah.
The audit regulation 908 of the Financial and Accounting Manual for Local Government Authorities stated that the council shall maintain a general ledger to record all financial transactions. The general ledger is posted from entries in the monthly abstract book and journals by the senior accounts clerk. This according to the and then finding. We noted that the City Council did not maintain general ledger to record all financial transactions. And then the implication there is that the financial statement for the year 2019 and 2020 might be misstated, since the general ledger forms the basis for preparing the financial statement. And then their response, the response said a detailed general ledger showing all balances in 2019 was provided during the exercise. The absence of 2020 general ledger is noted, and measures will be employed to regularize the situation. The auditors further comment, the general ledger for 2019 was provided after the draft management letter, and we could not verify the accuracy of the figures due to the improper maintenance of the cash book. The general ledger for 2020 was not provided up to the time of finalizing this report.
Thank you. So, to the Director of Finance, was acting in 2019, what was the basis for the preparation of the 2019 financial statement?
Sorry. When we prepare, when we prepared the financial statements 29, due adherence was done to the records that we kept with regards to receipts and payments. As I told you earlier, that we kept a separate register for our receipts, which was called the daily roll, and a separate register for our payments, done in a payment register. So the underlying document was actually the general ledgers which we provided in 2019. Because all these ledgers were provided for, and then they carried the transactions from 1st January to 31st December 2019. And then you have a balancing part of it, which actually showed, the balance at the end of the year, which we actually picked.
Can I interject there before we move further? The auditors are saying there was no general ledger. In fact, that the ledger you provided for 2019 was only given to them after the finalization of what? The accounts, not so. The draft. So now the question is, what was the basis for the preparation of the accounts? If there were no ledgers, because if the ledger was there, you will close the ledgers, to come up with the trial balance, and from the trial balance, you derive your financial statements. So it will have been only proper and accurate that if at all the ledgers were there, by the time you were giving them your financial statements for audit purposes, the trial balance would have been provided. Now the question I would ask now is, why didn't you provide it at the initial stage of what? Engagement. Because that is the basis and the genesis for the financial statement. Why was it not provided?
Indeed, I can remember that the general ledger for 2019 was provided both in hard and soft copies during the audit exercise in 2019. That I can confirm. And then, in fact, I can remember that the auditors were approaching me to shed light on some of the balances that we are not, in line with what we have provided in the trial balance. And then we adjusted them to ensure that they are in line with the trial balance. They were doing that during the course of the exercise. I can remember that. Because those who were at the field can actually confirm that. We provided the general ledgers. And then they were picking the balances from there. Because it is, from there where we drive our trial balance.
Mr. Trawale, the acting director of finance, saying otherwise, can you shed light on this so that, yes, can you shed light on it?
Yeah, thank you. Those who were in the field, I think when you come to the audit, I will be the only one who will not be in the field. Most of the time, this report is written by those in the field. My role as the director is just to look at the technical issues, to screen them more so, to see whether they are in line, the wordings, and then just to make sure that I correct those things. But the information, everything, the draft, everything comes from those in the field. And then even if you look at it now, the timing, because the moment you accept the engagement letter is to say, because all the documents that are required will be specified in the engagement letter. The moment you sign the engagement letter, you are telling the auditors that all the documents that you've requested are available. You can come and start the engagement. I'm just saying this so that people can understand some of the things that we are doing are hunting against us as National Audit Office. Because that's why audit, for it to be relevant, has to be completed on time. But we struggle. The struggle that we encounter, and the reason why we have all that is to say just to improve the system, but it's like the system is not improving. What the substance here now is, even if it is provided 2019, because they agreed that 2020 is not provided, and you still have the 2020 financial statement here. But even if it was provided after, but the auditors are saying the general ledger for 2019, if you look at our full document, was provided after the draft management letter, and we could not verify the accuracy of the figures due to the improper maintenance of the cash book. The general ledger for 2020 was not provided up to the time of finalizing this report. The financial statement, these are historical figures. Records have to be there, well kept, and then you build the financial statement. But if you provide the figures, just to make sure that I just forward something to the auditors, you are putting them in there, and then auditors also cannot, it's just a matter of information is there, but the information has to be useful, so the auditor to be able to express an opinion on it. So I think our auditors for document is explained that even though it was provided, the timing of it provided is an issue. But again, even though it was provided, because of there was no proper, they were not able to confirm the accuracy.
Yeah, that is exactly why I'm asking the basis for the preparation of the financial statements, because the timeline you indicated was after the draft management letter. That is after the engagement. And this should have been provided at the initial stage of what? The engagement, so that you can verify the origin, the accuracy, and the correctness of the information that is given to you. Now, let's look at 2020. How did we have a trial balance for 2020? What is the origin or the basis for the financial statements? In 2020, what is the basis for the financial statements? What basis was used? Since you've confirmed there was no trial balance and there were no ledgers, so what was the basis for the financial statement?
Honorable Chair, in 2020, there was a trial balance, and this trial balance was derived from the balances that we have in our records, in our daily transactions, because I told you we have a rule for our receipts and a register for our payments. So if you should refer or consult those documents.
Can I just refer you to page 21?
Okay.
Your management response. Page 21. Are we there?
Yes.
Are you on page 21? Look at the management response. You said, a general ledger showing all balances in 2019 was provided during the exercise. The absence of 2020 general ledgers is noted and measures will be employed to regularize the situation. If you do not have a general ledger, how can you have a trial balance?
That's what I'm trying to explain. I understand very well that we did not provide a general ledger for 2020, but there was a trial balance.
So now let's get this straight. What is the origin of the trial balance as an accountant? Where do you derive your trial balance from?
The balance is based on the general ledgers.
Now, when you do not have a general ledger, can you have a trial balance?
We do not have a general ledger.
Sorry.
In context, but
I want to help you.
Yes.
We are on camera. We are professional.
Yes.
Accounting is based on principle.
Yes.
When we are talking about law, let's base it on the law. When we are talking about principles, let us base it on the principle. If there are shortfalls and deficiencies, let's address them. What is the basis of a trial balance?
The trial balance is there to ensure the
basis. Where do you derive it from?
From the transactions.
Where are the transactions recorded?
They are recorded in the cash book.
The cash book?
Yes.
A book in accounting means what? Ledger?
Yes.
Not so?
Yes.
And you've agreed that there are no ledgers in 2020?
Yes.
So where do you derive your trial balance from?
Directly from the cash book.
You do not have one. A book in accounting means ledger.
That's why this is what I'm trying to explain. In any case, I've told you, we have been recording all our receipts and our payments. We've been doing that. And then during the end of the year, when we are, to prepare financial statements, we extracted all our balances from
Mr. Cham. Mr. Cham, for the purpose of time, you would not go back and forth. The management response was your statement.
Yes.
You gave it in consultation with the team.
Yes.
It cannot be changed here. You do not have any general ledger. In 2020,
I can confirm that, yes.
There was no basis for the trial balance. And as such, you do not have any basis for the preparation of the financial statement. And that will be proven in the next point we are coming. But once it is established, we accept. It's fine, because this is not us. This was you who said it was not there.
Yes.
It was not there. So now, do we accept the fact that our management response depicts the real picture of the situation as it was obtained in BTC in 2020?
Yes.
We accept that.
Yes.
Fine. To the current director of finance, what are we doing to make sure this situation does not happen again?
Yeah, good afternoon, Honorable Chair, distinguished MPs, National Audit Office, and all protocols duly and respectfully observed. We are in this thing together. It's not we and them, or we all doing it for our country. And then I think the National Audit did a good job, and then we are happy to audit the shortfallings that are laid before us. We have, since the report came out, in internal strategies to make sure that these things are mitigated. Because at the end of the day, we represent BCC, by extension the Gambia. These problems are inherent, but I can give you assurance that we've taken internal remedies within to curb these shortcomings. Thank you very much.
Okay. Honorable members, do we have any comments on that? Fine. Now I think we are still left with a lot, but we'll move very fast now. Now refer the committee to page 12 of 2020. That is the accumulated fund. Page 12 of 2020. Yes. If we look at page 12 of 2020, note 21. Note 21 is the accumulated fund. The accumulated fund reported in 2020 is $8,612,928.69. What should be noted is the accumulated fund only increases the net annual operations. That is, the shift in the accumulated depreciation will be as a result of either a surplus or what? A deficit. If we look at the opening accumulated fund from 2019, which we can still see on page 12, is minus 293,499.01. If we go to page 11 and look at the net operations for 2020, it will be reporting a surplus of 4,370,155. Meaning the accumulated fund for 2020 should have been the surplus of 4,370,469.87, the negative 293,499.01, which should have been a total of 4,76,976. But what we are seeing in the records is 8,612,928.89. We try to get an explanation on it. We refer to note 21 of 2020. Note 21 of 2020 should be on page 32. But unfortunately, if you go to page 32, although the subhead we read, accumulated fund 8.6, which is the one reported in 2020, but the narrative notes are giving you transactions or movements which occurred in 2019, which means the narrative notes could not be relied upon. So the only basis that we can rely upon is the basis of principle. And what the principle dictates is the shift in the accumulated fund can only occur as a result of the net operations. So if at all the accumulated fund in 2019 was negative 293 and we have a surplus of 4.5 million, there is no way that we can report an accumulated fund of 8.6. But still, we'll bring the question, or we'll put the question, why, or what are the explanations behind the reported accumulated fund in 2020 of $8,612,928. Do we take it as an error? As an error. Then in that case, it will have some consequences on the balance sheet. Currently, there is a suspense account, the value of which would go up. And then it will definitely undermine the reliability of the statements which are provided. But having accepted that, I think what we will do is to move on. You know, that we've established the point. So, I would refer you to note 15 of 2019. Note 15 of 2019. There we do not have much of a problem, but we just want to be sure of the accounting treatment. That page 15 of 2019, with regards to the purchase of the dustbins. The purchase of the dustbins. The dustbins were purchased at almost 13 million because it was 12,900,000 something. Almost 13 million. And then it was contracted through a bank loan. And if you look at the development budget of 2019, the total value of the dustbins were treated as a periodic expense. Treating them as a periodic expense means they were deducted from the revenue that was what generated internally by BCC. Whereas the funds being used to purchase the dustbins themselves were not generated internally by BCC, but they came as a result of what? A loan. If you look at the balance sheet of the same year, you will realize that the value was treated as a liability. So the question here is, the same item, we are treating it as a liability, standing as a future obligation which needs to be settled. But at the same time again, we are treating it as a periodic expense and what deducting it from the revenue that was generated internally. So the question here is, what accounting policy is BCC really using? Or why was the dustbins treated as such, treated as a periodic expense and at the same time recognized as a liability in full in the balance sheet? Yes, Mr. Cham?
Chair, I would want to assert that these dustbins were financed through an overdraft taken from the bank, which was more of the reason why our accounts were actually showing deficit. Because in this case, in any case, when you take an overdraft from the bank, which means you are now spending more than what you have, which will actually lead to a deficit. Because your total expenses will actually be more than your total revenue. In that case, you report a deficit, which will have an impact of showing, a reduction from the accumulated funds, which we are earlier on talking of. So the dustbins actually were not shown as a liability. It is the liability from the bank that was shown in the balance sheet as a liability, because it was taken as an overdraft.
Can I correct you?
Yes,
What was the reason for the liability at the bank? Was it not the purchase of the dustbins?
it was, yes, the purchase of the dustbins.
The dustbins are shown as a liability. That is
No, it was not the dustbins, because the dustbins were already settled and they were charged in the accounts, in the income and expenditure statement. But it is as a result of taking the bank overdraft that we charge as a liability, because because they are not the same. The liability was shifted because the dustbins were settled and then the overdraft was owing.
Okay. Now, let's get this straight. When were the dustbins purchased?
That was in
Which month? Which month in 2019?
around the end of 2019.
Around the end?
Yes.
Do we say September?
The last payment was done in December 2019.
The last payment for the dustbins?
Yeah, yes, for the dustbins.
And did it? The payment to the suppliers? To the suppliers?
Yes. Yes.
Was done in December?
Yes.
Now, when were they purchased?
The dustbins? They were purchased in the beginning of 2019.
In the beginning?
Yes, and they were paid on installment. Until the last installment, yes.
The last installment?
Yes.
From BCC to the suppliers, not so?
Yes.
The overdraft facility you have, was it all paid fully during 2019?
No. It was, sorry?
Just answer the question. The overdraft facility you took from the bank to finance the purchase of these dustbins, did you pay all of it in 2019?
It was not paid.
It's not paid.
It was not
Then that is the liability reflecting in your balance sheet.
What I mean is...
No.
Yes, I understand very well. But when, an overdraft is taken from the bank to fund any particular payment or activity, that payment or activity will be charged in the income and expenditure account as an expense. It will be fully charged.
You prepare your accounts on cash basis.
Yes.
This is not accruals. You are preparing on cash basis. Are you together?
Yes.
You mean cash inflows and what outflows. What you don't have, you cannot spend it. So the policy to use will depend on you.
Yes.
The policy you are going to use totally depends on you. But what we are saying is, you cannot have it both ways. You cannot.
As an expense, yeah.
I accept. I accept that for you.
Yes.
Now accept this and we finalize it. Did you pay the total overdraft during 2019?
It was not paid. That's why it has been...
No, wait. Did you pay everything?
Nothing was paid.
Now, as the accountant,
yes,
can you establish for us how much from the 12 million was actually paid?
Nothing was paid. That is why...
Then wait. We will not further go anywhere. Since nothing was paid, then nothing should have reflected here. So nothing was paid. Nothing should have reflected there.
This reflection is not based on the dustbins that were paid. It's based on the bank overdraft. It's a liability.
This is what I'm telling you. A liability is not an expense. It's at all, it is in the accrual basis. The accrual basis is telling you incur.
This has not been charged as an expense. This has been shown in the balance sheet. It's not an expense.
Okay. Now let me give you the proof that it is being charged as an expense. I will refer you to the relevant page.
Okay.
I will refer you.
Because this 12 million is...
No, wait. I will refer you.
Go to note 15 of 2020. Note 15. On a note 15, it starts in page 24, 2020.
Okay.
It has 15.1. I will defer you to 15.7 in page 29. Are you there?
Yes, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Are you seeing it?
Yes.
And in fact, I think I shouldn't take you to 2020. Let's go to 2019. This should be in 2019. 2019, check note 15. Let me give it to you. Let me give you the relevant page right now. Sorry. Development budget. Let's go to page 33 of 2019. Start from page 25, where you will have the subhead, the 26 million. And the listings to the 26 million start from 15.1, which is the rehabilitation of the Albert Market. And the 12 million is coming on page 33.
Yes.
You have this well. On page 15.7, go to page 30. Sorry, go to page 30. Go to page 30.
Okay.
30, page 30. 25, you have the listing, which is 26,565,786.33.93. Now the listings,
Okay.
the individual items adding up to that 26 million, we will have it in 15.7, which is at page 30. Page 30.
Okay.
Page 30 of 2019.
29.
Of 2019.
Yes.
Page 30. No, you are looking at 2020. Go to the other side. Are you seeing it?
Yes.
And this 26 million, if you go to page 11 of 2019, you'll find this 26 million charged there in the income and expenditure account as a periodic what? Expense.
Yes.
So are we on the same wavelength?
Yes.
That it is not only listed as a liability, but it is what listed as a periodic expense?
Yes.
So now do we agree that we are happy with this? Of course.
It has been listed here as an income, in the income and expenditure statement here, as an expense.
Thank you.
That's the total.
But
the total.
Mr. Jam, earlier you said it was not treated as an expense. Was that not what you said?
No, what I'm saying is,
No. What did you say before?
if the dustbin payments
Mr. Jam,
have been treated as an expense.
Mr. Jam, earlier on, did you agree to that it was treated as an expense? No, you did not.
No. What I mean is, you said
Mr.
it
Jam,
was treated as an expense, and then the same thing occurred as a liability. That's what you are saying.
and that's why I stand still now. And that's what happened.
That is what I'm trying to clarify here. That it was not treated as a liability. The dustbins itself. The total dustbins payments were actually charged in the expense account. They were charged as expense. So no liability was shown with regards to the dustbins. But as a result of taking the overdraft.
Mr. Cham, please, you would not be confused here, because we know what we are saying. This is principle. It's not about your opinion. If you go to the balance sheet on page 12, it's showing a liability. And you agree that the dustbins are financed through bank overdraft.
But what liability are those? at that liability.
The bank overdraft.
It's the bank overdraft, but it's not the dustbins. That's what I'm saying. The dustbin has already been expensed, has been charged.
Sir Cham,
So,
now you will listen to me. You will listen to me. I will ask you one question and you will stop this. Did you pay the entire value of the dustbins in 2019? You said no. So now, how can you expunge the value of the dustbins, which is in excess of 12 million, from your liability of 12 million?
we paid the dustbins, the entire value of dustbins to the supplier.
What, not the bank?
Not the bank.
Thank you. That is the liability.
That's why it has been shown as a liability in the balance sheet. That's what I'm saying.
Mr. Cham,
I don't know whether
Mr. Cham,
we can understand it.
get this. No. You are not the one understanding what you brought.
No,
Did it? Wait. The liability was not between you and the supplier. The liability is between you and the bank.
and the bank. Yes.
The bank paid the dustbins on your behalf. Who are you indebted to? No, they are the ones who gave you the overdraft.
We do not, it was not treated as such, because what the bank gave us was actually, recognized as a revenue, something coming as an income.
You did not bring it as a revenue because you never added it to the revenue. If you had added it to the revenue, you would not argue this. Okay, now you are coming. Wait. If you had added it as a revenue, you would not. If you had accepted it as a revenue, you would not. So, you know why we are bringing this basis? Because the moment this is incorrectly treated, it has a bearing on the presentation that you've made. You never accepted it was a revenue. You recognize it as what? A liability. And then you put it again as a periodic charge.
I just want to ask one thing. We have taken a bank overdraft to pay for, a liability. That liability has been paid and then charged as expense in our, income and expenditure account. The liability has now been shifted. It has transferred to another, creditor, for example.
That's the bank.
Yeah, that's the bank. So that bank liability, if it is not shown in our balance sheet as a liability, then how do we, know exactly the representations of the items in the balance sheet?
This is why when we started, we said we have an area of flexibility. The treatment we're giving here, we can tell you it's not right. The moment you accept it, it's a liability, and you are operating on cash basis, your periodic payment, that is the actual cash you paid out, is what you should deduct.
We have,
And wait, you ask, let me answer. And the net will be a deduction from your total liabilities, which will be presented in your what? Balance sheet. Equally, in accordance with the cash basis, you can use other options, which, as I said, I wouldn't dilate on, because you have a director of finance, who is a chartered accountant. You have the National Audit Office. I'm here as a lawmaker.
yes.
What I recognize that is not right, I bring it in front of you. Since we've all accepted that one, the treatment is not accurate. Now we allow the Director of Finance to tell us in the future how you will treat it, avoid the occurrence. And then we will accept the fact that this representation really have adverse effects on the financial statements that are presented. So let's allow the Director of Finance to come.
Sorry.
No, Mr. Cham, we are done with the merry-go-round, to be honest. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's a very good classroom session, and then nobody is too qualified, or nobody is too aged not to learn the treatment. We've noted that is being treated twice, and then in the future, I think there will be no occurrence of it. And even internally, we are trying our best to live within our means, and we are operating a cash system that we can spend money that we don't have. So I think
it's a journey that we've gone through, and then internally we've taken some adjustments to definitely adhere to the cash basis reporting so that we are not confusing actualized accounting and cash basis accounting. But again, like Mr. Tam, most councils we are in a world whereby we have semblance of reporting in our reports, and we also have some cash basis reporting. As the CEO rightly said earlier on, that we need to revisit the act and make it permanent, make it reflect the realities in the financial era at the moment, the IFRS and all that. But as the act is saying something, the IFRS is saying something. We have some elements of accurate accounting, and we have some elements of cash-based accounting, and that needs to definitely be separate. But we've noted the comments, and we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Direct. And I believe these are some of the points why we will not bring the CEO or the mayor, because obviously they have to deal with principles. And I understand the fact when you said you are not an accountant. So Lord Mayor, we are not bringing you in this one. we will totally excuse you. Honorable members, do we have any corrections to that? I would do my final intervention on the financial aspect. From there, we will look at the areas of governance and then the procurement component which you would lead. So at this point, I want to refer the House to page 12 of 2020. At page 12 of 2020, if we look at the closing cash balance in 2019, it stands at 329,568. And this closing cash balance of 2019 will automatically be the opening cash balance at 2020. Now let's look at page 11 of 2020. If we look at page 11 of 2020, we are having a surplus cash of $4,370,469.87. Which means we are saying the revenue we received is more than the expenses we paid. And we are having a net cash balance of 4.3 million. So this 4.3 million plus our opening cash balance should give us around 4.7 million. But let's look at the closing cash balance in 2020. In 2020, we have a closing cash balance of 329,000. And if we look at both years in the balance sheet, BCC was not having any cash at bank because both years closed as what? An overdraft. In 2019, there was an overdraft of 12.9. And in 2020, there was an overdraft of 6.7, which means there was no cash at the bank. The money that we should have been physically available. So now the question is, if we are operating purely on cash basis, what we receive, we paid out of it. If we open with 229,000, and at the end of the year, the annual operations, that is between the revenue and the expenses, where the opening cash balance was not added, there is a surplus of 4.5. So how did we close with 329,000? In 2019, our closing cash balance was 329,000. That is in page 12. We have a closing cash balance of 329,000. And if you go to page 11, you will realize that that opening cash balance is nowhere added to the revenue. in page 11 of 2020. The closing cash balance from 2019 is not added to the revenue, which means it is a standalone. Page 11 of 2020. We are there. So the 329, we close with that from 2019, which is in page 12. You go to page 11, it's not added in revenue, which means still now that 329 is lying somewhere. During the year, BCC received 65 million. $841,625 is 31 bottles. Out of the 65 million, BCC spent 61 million. $471,155 is 44 bottles. Closing with a surplus cash balance of $4,370,469. All operations, the accounting policies on cash basis is receipts and payments. So now, if you have a closing surplus of 4.3, which is the income generated against the expenses paid, plus the opening cash balance of 329,000, and there is no cash at the bank, because if you look here, all the bank accounts are what? Overdrawn. So how did we end up having 329,000 as the cash balance as at the end of 2020?
Honorable Chair, I have looked at this. The cash and bank balances as of 2019. Because if you look at our accounts, we are banking with 3 banks. Some of the banks were actually showing a credit balance, and then some of them were showing debit balance, which means an order.
Sorry, do you have those among your listings in the notes? The banks having credit balances in 2020, are they in your listings?
I have to confirm that. It has been shown in the trial balance. I have not seen the trial balance here, but it has been shown in the trial balance.
Before we proceed, give me a moment. To the auditors, can you confirm
Honorable Chair, I think maybe there was just a this explanation or what. But going to note 16 tells you what they really meant. It is not cash and bank balances. It was just supposed to be cash in hand. That should have been the narration in the financial statement.
Thank you.
It's telling you that they had physical cash of 8,000 somewhere and another physical cash of 300 something sitting somewhere. I think that's what you were trying to explain. It should not be cash and bank balances. It's cash in hand. And this just brings us back to the confusion that we are making between the accruals and cash basis accounting. And I think the Director of Finance has just highlighted the need to sanitize which method you want to go henceforth. But I think just a change in nomenclature it should not have been cash and bank balances. Because in fact, in your notes, there is no bank balances. This is the physical cash balances, cash in hand, sitting somewhere in one of the cashiers, in two of the cashiers. I think note 16 explains clearly what it's supposed to have meant.
Mr. Chairman, I want to help you. You see, we didn't make anything here. It's basically what you give us. In your notes, it is explicitly stated that you do not have bank balances. You have overdraft. All of them are overdrawn. Overdrawn bank balances are in debit. They are not in credit.
Okay.
So the physical cash balance you should have in 2020 should be in excess of 4.8. That is as per your record. What you give us, not what we assume. The figures are there. P29, you open with that. It's not added on revenue. What you received during the year, 65. What you spent during the year, 61. You made a surplus of 4.5. Added to the 329 you open up with, takes you around 4.8.
Yes.
I would ask this question. Did you conduct a cash count? To you first, at the end of the year, and then to the internal auditor, and then later we go to the external auditor. If at all cash counts are also what conducted, what documentations are maintained, and how often?
It should be the responsibility of the internal audit to conduct cash service, just to make cash count.
On this particular day, it's the last day of the financial year.
Yes.
There's a cash count conducted. Inventory of all.
Yeah, we just prepared this based on the going concern, because we have noted that in any particular day there must be some form of cash in hand, because collections.
Mr. Jan, at the end of the financial year, we do a cash count.
No, we did not. Not to my knowledge, anyway.
You did not do a cash count.
We did not do it.
How did you establish this 329?
We determined this based on the balancing from the records, that this is supposed to be the cash in hand, but a physical cash survey was not actually done by myself.
Thank you.
Yes.
The internal auditor, can you tell us?
Well, for the period on we do usually conduct cash count, but for the period on a review,
That particular day,
we didn't.
you did not conduct
Yeah.
a cash count.
Yeah, because the accounts were not closed. It takes the finance department some few time to close their accounts so that we can reconcile what is what the information that they provided to us and what is in the cash records.
My final intervention. Right now, we have a situation, and either one can be true. It's either on that day there is a cash shortage, in excess of 4.5 million. The figures provided here are only created.
Mr. Chair, let me tell you vividly that there is no way that $4.5 million can be missing in Banjul City Council. Banjul City Council is not liquid. Financially, we are not strong. We cannot even 100,000 can you go like this from Banjul City Council.
Right now, in the country, you don't receive 4.5 million on a daily basis. But we are able to receive how much? 65 million during the day. The discrepancy reported as at a particular day will be a rolling aggregate over a period of time. I'm not saying it happened, but what we have established is your closing cash balance was understated by 4.5. That's why we gave the two situations, because figures don't lie. It's either a slippage or the records provided here were only created for the purpose of presenting them to the auditors.
Then I will say that it was only created for the purpose of the auditors. But be rest assured that not even 100,000 can be made in the Banjul City Council. I am so confident of that.
Thank you.
With Banjul City Council, we don't have much, but to be quite honest, trust me.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Okay, I will have you from there. We'll have the final, word from the national auditors before we proceed. Yes. So, sorry, Cor, make it very fast because we need to break for 20 minutes. We pray and then we continue. Just make it fast.
I was just answering because that when during the end of the year you have broadcast so but do you wish for it and during the first and second order we are having
Wow. So you are saying during 2019 over 700,000. Okay. What will happen here? Yeah, let me help you. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. To the National Audit Office, before we close, sorry, Mr. Fall, let's get this. National Audit Office, yes, we'll break. Your last intervention on this, just the first one. The internal auditor is saying they did some cash counts and there were some discrepancies. Did you come across that during your audit exercise?
At this point in time, if it is not reported here, I would know, because auditors is
which means you didn't come across it.
It had methodology. Maybe it's possible the audit team might, but not.
No,
yeah.
perfect. That's a perfect response. The other thing here is the mayor have said that what is reported as the cash balance was only created for the purpose of the records, but there is no way that funds will be missing at Banjul City Council. Why are we establishing this is to really draw attention to the reasons for the disclaimers. What are the implications of that? After that response, we'll just break for 30 minutes and come back.
As far as we are concerned, my advice of all this is like financial statement is not prepared for Banjul City Council. It's not prepared for National Audit Office, but it's prepared for the external users. Financial statements should be prepared so that users can make a best use of it when they just go. The notes and the figures should speak for themselves. If that doesn't happen, and in this case that hasn't happened, that's why the auditors are not able to express an opinion. That's why we say disclaimer, because we don't want to be found wanting. And then even if I'm in the councils, I keep telling this into them. Normally, I'm not part of the audit team. I only go entrance, exit meeting, but they are only here. I keep saying them this. Record keeping is very important. It starts from day one. If you don't do that, records are not kept as how they should be. And then at the end, because it's time for audit, you want to bring figures. You cannot make a credible finance. And what will happen? There will be figures that you yourself cannot explain. And the end, what you will see, you will have a missing figures. And then what people will say is like millions and millions missing at this particular council. And this is what I keep telling them. When in the actual fact, it doesn't mean that a physical million has been pocketed or missing, but it's record keeping. Most of the time in the councils, this is what is hunting against most of them, is record keeping. That one from experience, I can tell you, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. At this point, we will adjourn for 30 minutes, and then when we come back, it wouldn't take long for the session to be complete. So can I have an honorable member to raise the motion that the meeting be adjourned for 30 minutes so that we come back at 2:45? Seconder. It is moved and seconded that this session be adjourned for 30 minutes. We will reconvene in 2:45. Thank you.
Sabar.